Okay, and welcome to Interac Express, your express to a job with Interac. I'm Brian, your host, and this week we have Derek. Hello, Derek.
Hello, Brian. How you doing, mate?
Pretty good. So, guys, first thing, we have about 100 positions nationally open. So, if you're looking for an ALT job, come to our site, interactnetwork.com. It's up above, and make an application. We're also on every other platform out there. Jobs in Japan, many other places. So go to any of those and apply. They all lead to the same place, right? And we'll go the latter half of this and go through in more detail some of the open positions. So stay tuned for that part. And now we're going to go into a little interview with Derek. Derek, tell us about your Japan story. How you came here. What led you to come to Japan?
It was a good story. I think, like everybody, sort of the magnet of Japan drew us all here. I arrived in Japan in 2009, and essentially said goodbye to my parents, and I said I'll see you in a year. And 12 years later, I'm still here in Japan. So I think it's a common story with a lot of people. Fall in love with Japan. It's a fantastic place. And predominantly I've been a Chiba all my life, all my time in Japan, and I've had the opportunity to travel to different parts of Japan, but definitely Chiba is my home.
It's a typical story. So, how did you get involved with Interac, and what have you been doing?
Well, originally, when I first come to Japan, as I mentioned, I heard of Interac before coming as a one of the leaders. So I applied straight away. Interac was is the only job I've actually had in Japan. I've always gone by the philosophy of if you don't like it, leave. And the proof's in the pudding, so to speak. So I've been here from 2009 all the way until currently where I am right now. When I first started at Interac in 2009, I was a ALT in the Chiba city area, predominantly taught elementary school. And from there, I think it was basically around about 2011 when there was an incident well known around the world, and which presented opportunities to move from ALT teaching into the management side of things, where my background was. And
So you're referring to the earthquake.
exactly, yeah, exactly, mate. So from that point in time, I moved into the managing position, which was called an MC position, which is now known as an IM position, which is a role which helps looking after ALTs with the Interac Chiba's branch, as well as being a go-to between ALT and the Japanese side and the school sides as well, and looking after the clients there. I've been in that position, yeah, since it's been good 8 years now. So I always sort of make a joke when I first started. I had long, lush blonde hair, but that's not the case right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what about Chiba? What's great about Chiba?
Chiba, I mean, one thing I like about Chiba is it sort of reminds me a lot of home. So I come from Australia originally, and a bit of a country town and part of in Australia, which is the top part of it's a place called Cairns. So one of the things, sort of the draw cards for me of Chiba is it has the best of both worlds. I live very very close to Chiba Station, in a place called Nishi Chiba, and it's very very suburban, so to speak. But you can jump in a car and drive 45 minutes down the coast to a lovely place called Kimitsu, where it's got an area called the Minami Boso area, which is sort of like, I'm going to sort of make a reference. It's sort of like the Japanese Alps to me. It's got beautiful rainforests. It's got scenery. It's got nature. It's got animals. It's a beautiful area. Whereas
Yeah,
if
I
you go,
always thought down there, when you get down really on the peninsula, it reminds me of Hawaii.
yeah, yeah, it's just it's an amazing place. I've never seen, or prior to coming to Japan, I've never seen, wildlife such as, wild monkeys. You drive through Minami Boso, you can see deer. I've seen deers, I've seen monkeys. I saw a wild boar just recently, which is my first experience seeing a wild boar in Japan. But yeah, it's just a beautiful area, that neck of the woods. And then, if you go across to the east, so you've got the Shirako area, which is this beautiful beaches. And I think, well, next year or this year, they'll have the Olympics where they'll have the surfing held in Onjuku, I do believe the area is. So,
Yeah, the surfing area.
yeah. So it's just a beautiful place to live. And like I said, you can travel 45 minutes one way, 45 minutes a different way, and 45 minutes the other way, and you're just looking at different scenery altogether. It just offers that type of opportunities. Whereas I lived in Japan once when I was 20 in Tokyo in a place called Gotanda, and travel 45 minutes either direction from Gotanda, and you're looking at concrete jungle basically.
It's a
So
very hip place.
yeah, so it's changed a fair bit, I think, since when I was there when I was 20. That's for sure, mate.
Yeah, Chiba, I think is really popular with cyclists
Mm.
and motorcyclists as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Like I said, I've been here. I've had the experience. I've had a long life in Chiba. I still remember one of my favorite stories was there's an ALT who lived in the Kimitsu area. And as you said, with cycling, it's fantastic. It's famous for the cycling. And he used to ride literally 20, 25 kilometers a day to
Yeah.
school. He just loved to cycle. And I said, come winter time, are you okay? And he said, no, it's fantastic. He just loved it. And that particular ALT, or that gentleman, come from Australia as well. He come from the bottom part of Melbourne. But yeah, he just, loved to cycle. And that was one of his one of the things he loved to do, teaching and cycling. So he had the best of both
I don't
worlds.
think it doesn't get much colder than anywhere else in the Kanto area, and not as much snow.
Yeah, I mean, I realistically, Chiba has. We always sort of predict 2 snow days a year.
Hmm.
Now, when I'm saying snow, you're looking at uh, an ample amount where it actually leaves a little bit left on the ground.
Right.
So it's 2 or 3 centimeters if that. This year we've been fortunate where we haven't had anything. Last year, I think the only day it snowed, I took the family to Disneyland, and that was a terrible experience, that's for sure. But yeah, snow is not a common thing here in Japan. Sorry, in Chiba, I apologize.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like it very much.
Chiba's a big attraction in Chiba, or sorry, Disneyland's a big attraction in Chiba as well.
It is. I mean, for as we talked about nature and what it offers here in Chiba, then you flip on the other side and what sort of infrastructure it has. You've got, as you mentioned, you've got Chiba Disney, well, Tokyo Disneyland, and Disney Sea, which is in the Mihama area, so to speak. If you go down towards, I keep mentioning the Kizuraza Kimitsu area. You've got Costco, which is very, very popular. They've got 3 Costcos now in Chiba, which is in Kahimakahari area. They've just opened up a new one in Kizurazu, and they have another one in the Inzai area as well. Also, you've got the Kanagawa. It is the Kanagawa SeaWorld, which is on the bottom east coast. So yeah, it has lots of things for people to do. And
Yeah.
the other good thing is, if you are, it's not probably the ideal time now, that's for sure with the current situation. But generally speaking, from Chiba Station to Tokyo is 45 minutes on a rapid train. So we do have, or we used to have ALTs. Come Friday or Saturday, they could spend a day in Tokyo without sort of wasting too much time commuting. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was recruiting late last year for a position in preschool in Ichikawa,
Mm,
and that was one of the things that we were pitching was that you could live in Ichikawa and you could be in Shinjuku in
yeah,
40 minutes,
yeah.
and yeah, it was attractive to some people to relocate there, and I actually think Chiba's a really good relocation destination for the Kanto area.
Like I said, I think, Brian, when you're looking at the cost of living in Japan, and especially I've heard stories, when we had many applicants come through the Chiba branch and so on and so forth, there is definitely a different cost in regards to housing. If you're living in Tokyo, you can hear, so I've heard stories where it's like Nimaen difference, Samaen difference.
Yeah.
And the sizing of the housing is considerably smaller, whereas, with the Chiba area, we have ALTs who are finding their own housing apartments, and also, you've got the opportunity of Leo Palace, which is helpful, the systems which we are able to provide here in the Chiba branch. So it does give you that, it's cheaper, affordable living, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, there's a number of universities around, as well. So I think that makes housing for single people more affordable.
Yeah.
And maybe not in some places, but in the major areas, yeah, definitely. So as for the Chiba branch, what are you guys looking for?
And currently, right now, Chiba Bright, we're halfway through our processing, and I think there's going to be a lot of positions which will open up. This is sort of the time of the year now where people will start to decide what they'd like to do. One of the fortunate things for Chiba is we do have one of the highest retention rates within the company. So it's one of those, as you mentioned, it's one of those places where people, when they do come, they do like to stay here.
Yeah.
So we're really proud of what we have here. But when it comes into positions and so on and so forth, we're starting to see a little bit of trends. Whereas obviously, when people do decide if they want to experience different parts of Japan, and vice versa, when they want to come to Chiba, we're looking at places in and around, or mainly, as I sort of mentioned, down the east coast, sorry, the west coast, which is the Kimitsu, Kizuraza area. We do have high school positions throughout Chiba itself. We also have schools or positions sort of opening up closer to Tokyo in the Funabashi and Shiroi areas, so to speak. So it's sort of an early stage for us right now, but looking at that particular area, that's where we're sort of offering, and I think that's where positions will start to become more and more, or we'll have a better understanding of our positions, that's for sure. I think one of the things, if we are looking for potential applicants to join us, and definitely to join the Chiba branch, we'd really look forward to seeing or hearing from everybody. Especially right now, it's a little bit tricky, and Chiba is such a big prefecture. Sometimes, we do have schools which are closer to train stations and do have public transportation, but definitely we are looking for applicants who do have the opportunity to drive in Japan if they have either a current Japanese driver's license, or if they have an IDP or an international driver's license. We are definitely looking for applicants who have the opportunity to commute via vehicle.
Right. So that sounds like Chiba area is pretty available right now.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a very very popular place. I know, as I said, I think one of the draw cards, as I mentioned before, it is very very close to Tokyo. So a lot of people have that opportunity to come to Tokyo. They might have family and friends in Tokyo, and Chiba is just a hop, step, and a jump from that particular area. So yeah, there will be positions opening up. That's for sure. So if you have friends, or if you are moving closer, we like to move closer to Tokyo, and Chiba is something of interest to you, then definitely please apply, and we'll look at all applicants. That's for sure.
Okay, guys, you heard it right there. Chiba's looking for people, and it's a good place to relocate to. And just for some of our other positions, just going to go over it briefly by region. Looking at Hokkaido. If you're interested in Hokkaido, I've got about 8 positions open, urban ones and rural ones both, right? And the Tohoku area, I'd say about 20 positions, 20 different locations. By position, I mean location. Kuzumaki from the north, and Tono. Every week I talk about Tono in Iwate. It's really like the Shire from Lord of the Rings. It's a little valley, very picturesque with a river running through the middle. Great people. I was there for a week myself and a substitute teacher, and I really love the place. And they say it's where the kappa come from, and they're a type of water sprite. So they say the water there is magical. If you're into Japanese supernatural beings and stuff like that, that kind of legend, myth and legend, it's that kind of place. I've also got Yamagata, Miyagi, Fukushima, Niigata, Iwate as well, down to the upper northern Kanto and Koshinetsu area. Yeah, I've got Niigata, Nagano, Toyama, Tochigi, plenty in Ibaraki, right? Ibaraki is just to the north of Derek there.
Yeah.
So they're the cousins on top there. And probably looking at 10 locations, probably in Ibaraki Prefecture. So Ibaraki is also a good place. It has a lot of the same things that Chiba has.
Mm.
A little more rural, but you can still get on a train and be in Tokyo in an hour and a half, or some places have a bus. I actually think the bus is more convenient when you're in Ibaraki, because getting to the train and then taking the train and then the train goes to some place in Tokyo and you got to go somewhere else. So for me, sometimes when I was at different places in Ibaraki, if they had a bus to Shinjuku, just straight there, or a bus to Tokyo Station, or a bus to Ueno, or whatever place was more convenient for me, actually more convenient than the train, and cheaper, and more comfortable, right? And so I think that that's one thing in the Ibaraki area. And going down, people always ask us, do you have Saitama? Right now, no. Sorry, guys. Across from Derek, Yokohama, Kanagawa area, a few places. I'm looking for someone, preferably ex-U.S. military, to teach at a boys' boarding school. And that's not an ALT position, right? But they should be military, because it's a military school. It's a very unusual position, but for the right person, it could be really great, you know. Also, Yamanashi, got some of those. You can see Mount Fuji every day. Beautiful places. Minami Alps, near Mount Fuji, and going down around by Hamamatsu. This place is, near Hamamatsu, and Gifu, a couple places in Gifu, Shiga, Mie, Osaka, also some big ones in Osaka. If you're an Osaka person, definitely sign up. Now's the time. Also Okayama, a couple places in Okayama, and also Matsue, and on Shikoku. Now, if you want to have a place that has like a really traditional, lots of nature, low cost of living, Shikoku's the place. Like, really, really nice place. You could go there and learn Japanese really fast because, it's a rural place in a lot of places. There's still some medium-sized cities to go to. Kochi City is one. Other ones, Takamatsu, or some other places like Ehime and Matsuyama as well. But I have some places in Kochi and some places in Kagawa, and both are great, full of history. Also Hiroshima, Yamaguchi as well, a couple places. Down in Kyushu. Everyone in Kyushu needs to drive right now. So if you're a driver and you want to go to Kyushu, I got positions. Kita Kyushu, Fukuoka, Saga, Kumamoto, Oita, Miyazaki, Kagoshima. I got every prefecture, right? So that's where we're at. That's the map, about 100 positions, 100 locations. Really, it's choose your own adventure time, right? Make an application, interactnetwork.com, and we want to talk to you, definitely, right? So guys, I'm going to leave it there. You can also follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And send us a message on the webpage, whatever, right? Any place you send us a message on social media comes to the same inbox for us, and we answer those, right? We try to answer them as fast as we can, but we get a lot of questions from people, right? People ask us a lot of times, so they just drop like one line. This is hilarious. They go, interested. Well, if you put a one word thing, interested or ALT job or thank you or something, we're going to send you a template basically that tells you how to apply, right? And it gives you the requirements and tells you some very basic information, points you to some videos, stuff like that. So, however you want to get in touch with us is fine, right? And you can apply for, anywhere we're listed. There's numerous recruiting sites. Our site, of course, is the fastest way because we're checking that literally every minute. And so, guys, still early enough in the game to get a position basically anywhere in Japan, right? We're hoping to get people for Derek. Lots of good people in there. Fill things up in Chiba. Derek, any words for the audience?
Yeah, I think, like I said, we're always open for. We're looking forward to hearing from you. I think one of the now is the time, as Brian mentioned. So, if you are in a different field of expertise, for example, if you are working in Kai, we want to come across to the ALT sort of business. Obviously, make sure that you take into consideration the timeline. We are coming to that magic deadline, so to speak. Whereas if you are on a special humanities visa and you need to change over to an instructor visa, if you're going to be working in the public school sector, normally it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to change over those statuses. So really, time is of the essence right now. And we're talking, it's basically February the 25th today. So realistically, if you haven't already started applying, if you want to change your field, if you want to move from an Airkai or you want to sort of take a little bit more easier life, ALT definitely does present that. I've had the opportunity to work in a KO a long time ago. So yeah, make sure you lodge your application. We're looking forward to hearing from you. I'd sort of piggyback on what Brian mentioned in regards to, buses and transportation. And one of the things is, as he mentioned before, there is positions in Yokohama. And the other thing about Chiba is we have the Aqua Line, which is essentially it's a straight shoot from Kimitsu Kiza's area across to Yokohama. So you've got, flexibility in regards to travel. You can go anywhere, do anything. So long story short, if you want to make
You
the
didn't
move,
mention the most important thing. Now, this is when the world comes back to being normal,
yes,
is Narita Airport.
exactly. Yeah.
That's the gateway to Japan.
Yeah, it's basically 40 minutes by train from Chiba Station. One of the fortunate things for me, as I sort of mentioned, coming from Australia, I can jump on a plane on Friday night and I'll be in Australia at 4 o'clock on Saturday morning. So, yeah, it's definitely once the world rights itself and everybody starts coming back, you've got exactly that, Brian. You've got Narita Airport, which is very, very close, and it's the hub of, people coming into Japan.
Yep. Well, we're going to leave it here. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, guys, and we'll be back next week. Derek, thanks for joining.
My pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me.
Yep, sure. Bye,
Take care,
guys.
everybody.